Hey, what's up guys? I am Monster Cookie, and in this video I want to show you the build I used in last week's PvP event on the Essence Temp Leagues. These events are being organized by Hegemony, Project PT and Lifting Nerdbro, and there's a certain set of rules that your build has to follow. First of all, you can't be over level 28, you can't have an ascendancy, there's no lab enchants allowed, no corrupted gear, no quality on gems, and you're only allowed to use a 4-link maximum. The main goal here is to keep it accessible and cheap for people who aren't really into low level dueling yet. So I guess that pretty much means everyone. But if you want any more information, there's a link in the description below. And I think these will be a weekly thing, and I hope this build guide will help you along the way if you decide to participate. So the build I want to showcase to you is a elemental conversion Blast Rain Ranger that uses the unique Doomfletch bow. The most notable thing about this bow is the fact that you gain 110% of your physical damage as extra damage of a random element. So this allows us to scale our damage with both physical increases and weapon elemental damage, which compensates for the relatively low base damage of the Doomfletch. Our main damage setup with Blast Rain is pretty straightforward. It's a 4-link, so I use physical to lightning for 100% elemental conversion. I use faster attacks, and I use weapon elemental damage gem. For mobility, which is always a huge part in any LLD build, I use Blink Arrow plus faster attacks on my main setup, and I use Whirling Blades plus faster attacks on my weapon swap. For auras we use Hatred and Herald of Ash for maximum elemental damage, and Arctic Armor for chill, which again plays a huge role in PvP. As for gear, there are 3 sources of damage we can get from it. There's flat physical damage, which can come on quivers, rings, amulets, and gloves. There's elemental damage, same more or less, and attack speed. So here I'll briefly go over the gear I had during this tournament. Now keep in mind that I bought all of this gear in about 20 to 30 minutes right before the start of the PvP event for about 15 chaos. So it can be optimized by quite a bit. And that's why I'll include some of the gear I have on my standard LLD build to show you what to aim for. Links for that are in the description below. Okay, so first up we have our Doomfletch Royal Bow unique. Speaks for itself, it's what this build is based around. Then we have our quiver, which actually is the biggest DPS increase from any gear slots. As you can see, 450 to a little over 600 DPS just with this quiver. It can roll flat physical, it can roll weapon elemental damage and attack speed. And if you get a nice life roll like I did on mine, that's a GG quiver. Obviously you want a broadhead arrow quiver with the flat physical, and then you're golden. Next up we have our gloves. Again, flat fizz, attack speed, if you can get some life, some resists, all good. Our belt, this belt is actually not too bad. I mean, defensively, it's not a great offensive belt. The weapon elemental damage roll is pretty low, but high life, high resist, and reduced flash charges used, which is awesome. Ideally you want this, but with like a weapon elemental damage roll around 30, with on a rustic sash for the physical damage. Then we have our 3 pieces of jewelry. They all have the Elrion mod. This is to reduce the total mana cost of our skills to 0. So basically I'm not spending any mana on any of my skills, even Whirling Blades, which is pretty expensive, linked with faster attacks. It costs 17 mana, I think, and with these rings it's 0. So this is also what allows us to run our 3 auras, reserve 100% of our mana, so very important. What you looking for on these is the flat physical damage. they, like, other than that, if you get anything else useful, that's great, but as you can see, like, these are absolute crap. Yeah, and it still works. So and then our last remaining items are boots, body armor, and helmet, and these are mainly used for capping resists and getting life, so defensive items. You want to aim for something around 60 life and I'd say 30 to 40 resist. That's something you can work with. And on boots, of course, you want movement speed. And then last but not least, on our weapon swap, we have wild slash claws. These give 30% increased attack speed to movement skills, which is Whirling Blade, and you dual wielding them, so yeah, it goes pretty fast. Very useful for outrunning opponents if you're outnumbered, or if you want to chase, flag carrier, whatever. So yeah, that about covers the gear section of this build guide. Now we go to the passive tree. I think the main strength of this build is its like exceptional survivability. It has decent damage, but the survivability and outlasting your opponent is really like the strong suit of this. So here we have the passive tree. We take acro and phase acro right here for a flat chance to dodge attacks and spells. Arrow dancing for more evasion against projectiles. And then in total, I think we have about 45% life, increased max life from passives, which is overall a pretty like solid number to aim for in any LLD build. 40 to 50% life is like starts to get decent. And then this Heart of Oak notable is quite interesting. It gives us a small chance to avoid being stunned, which can be quite important against some builds, but I like to take it. It's an overall great node. So with all these defensive passives, we only have a few points left to invest in our damage. Luckily, there's a conveniently placed huge cluster here of bow physical damage and attack speed, which of course we take completely. And that's pretty much it for the passive tree. Like we only get 34 points, so it's pretty straightforward. Gotta have a good balance between your defensive and your offensive part, but yeah, so for this build, I mean, there are some things you could change. Like for example, I took the oak passive tree, bandit reward for 40 HP. Let's say I took the passive reward from the bandits and I lose this projectile damage node. I can take this gem or jewel. I mean, I didn't have the time to look for a good jewel, but if you have a GG1, I think that's probably a better option, because 5 to 6% life is about the same as 40 flat life, so yeah, definitely worth it. Anyways, that's about it for this build guide. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you at the next PvP event. See you guys next time.